Hello, and welcome back to the crash course on writing technical reports in Microsoft Word. So we are now on the last lesson for this course, which is all about how to reference a document, or essentially merging, quote unquote, because you're not actually merging files, merging multiple Word files in order to create a table of contents, list of figures, or references. So for this last lesson, these are our objectives. So number one, of course, is to reference a document and use the reference document to generate a table of contents, a list of figures, or uh, references, or etc. Any table of authorities or figures. So let's go. Okay, so let's go here. So suppose you don't want, because maybe your thesis is very long, and you don't want to merge all of your chapters into one file. You separate chapter 1, separate chapter 2 into another document file, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. And the problem with this, if you have separate chapters, is the generation of table of contents. How will you now generate a table of contents? How will you now generate a list of figures? How will you now generate references? The advantage of this is, of course, is if you have a paper type chapters like chapter 3 and chapter 4. For example, if you have a chapter 3, which is a paper style chapter, it has its own abstract, it has its own introduction, methodology, own results and discussion, it has its own conclusion, and its own references. Now, you can't do references per chapter if you just have one single file in Microsoft Word, unless you use an application, an add-in application in Microsoft Word called EndNote. I guess that will be discussed. By another speaker. So if you have EndNote, you can actually have just one file, one Word file, and have references generated for every chapter. But if you separate, then you will have references for every chapter if you separate your files. So chapter 3 is another paper, chapter 4 is another paper number 2. So it has its own introduction, methodology, results, and conclusion, and own references. So that's the advantage of breaking down your thesis or scientific reports into different chapters or different sections if you want. The disadvantage of this is also the page numbering. So if you want to reference, so what we will do here is we will reference all of these documents when we are trying to generate the table of contents or list of figures. And in that case, you should do that the very last. You should do that. It should be the last thing you do in your thesis, because you need to fix the page numbers. So whatever is the last page number for chapter 1, then plus 1, that should be the starting page number of chapter 2. And the last page number of chapter 2 plus 1, that should be the starting page for your chapter 3, and so on. So you will have to fix your page numbers for this case. So that's what happened. That's the disadvantage of this. So if you want to reference a document, you should do it the very last. So let's try to reference a document now. So suppose I want to make a table of contents based on these five separate chapters, chapter 1 to 5. So I have already made a document file called table of contents. It has still nothing in it. I still have to generate the contents of this table of contents. But how will it generate when it has no chapter contents? So in this case, you need to make a reference. reference to a document. So what we will do is we will enter the formatting mode. So you can do that by pressing Control F9 in Windows. So Control F9, Control F9, and you will see some brackets, and you will type RD. RD means referencing a document. Similar with the previous lesson, XE, X is mark entry, mark entry. Now, you will notice that it disappeared, but it's actually just there. So you need to click this one so that you can see the referencing to a document. So you just put a space and then put some double quotation marks, and inside the quotation marks is the path of the document that you want to reference. So for example, chapter 1. So my chapter 1 is in this path. So in order to obtain the path, I'm gonna right click this properties and then go to security, and this is the path, drive E. So it will differ depending on you where you put the file, but it's advisable that you put all the files in the same folder. It's easier to reference. So I'm gonna copy this one. So Control C, copy. Okay, I've copied it, and then I'm gonna paste it between the double quotation marks. Control that one. So after that one, I need to make the backslash into double backslash. I'll just add another backslash. So this should be here. Backslash, always double backslash, double backslash everything, double backslash, double backslash, double backslash. Where's that? Double backslash, double backslash, double backslash, and that's all. So you just need to copy paste the path and then double all the backslashes. Okay, and then this is the reference now to chapter 1. Now to reference for chapter 2, since they just in the same folder, then I'm just gonna copy paste this one, copy and then paste, and then replace this by chapter 2. Sorry, chapter 2, because that's their only difference. And then I'm gonna copy this one, the two of them, then paste. So this one will now this chapter 2, 1, 2. This will now be chapter 3. Will be chapter 4, and then the last one. Sorry. Control C, Control V, chapter 5. So that's the reason why it is advisable that all of these documents are in the same folder, so that you'll just change the last part. You'll just change the file name. And if you name your files like this, chapter 1, 2, 3, only one number, only one character is changing. So 1, 2, it's easier to reference. So that one, that's now the reference. Okay, so we have now reference. So this will this document now, the document entitled table of contents, will now assume that there is, or basically these 5 files are something like merged into this document, and you can now generate a table of contents from these 5 reference document. Okay, so I'm gonna close the formatting symbol. So you will notice that it now disappeared. It's actually there. Just click this one. So you go to references, table of contents, then custom table of contents. If you already have customized table of content, it will actually show here. So this is actually our the customized table of contents that we had in lesson number 3. So show levels 5. We no longer need to modify this because this is already customized. And then just click OK. And you now have generated a table of contents out of nothing. Actually, it's not nothing. You have some reference documents here that are invisible. So that one. That is how you reference a document so that you can create a table of contents out of separate Word files. You can do the same for the list of figures. So actually, you can copy paste this go to the home and then click this one, and then copy paste this one, your reference document. You copy this one and paste it to the to this file here, the list of figures, and then the reference. You copy also that one to the references. So that and you do the same. You generate the list of figures. You already know how to do that. You generate the references. You already know how to do that. The only thing that you added here is the reference documents. But as you can see here, there's a problem. It's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and then it went back to page 1, page 2, again page 4, because we didn't change the page numbers yet. Again, you will have to do this the very last, when everything is already fixed. So when all the page number, when all the contents are already fixed, so you fix the page numbers. Again, this is just an alternative. You can still do what we have learned in lesson 1 to 4, wherein your document is in just one Word file. In that case, if your document is in just one Word file, you need to manually place this one, the introduction. You don't apply the heading style here because this is under chapter 3, and you don't apply the heading style. Also, you can apply the heading style here, but when it comes to the references, you need to manually write the references. That's a disadvantage of it, unless you know how to use EndNote. But I'm not gonna discuss that here. That will be discussed by another speaker. So that's it for this course. So basically, as a recap, so that's the end of the training workshop. So as a recap, this is our 6 lessons. In lesson 1, we have applied styles and headings to our document so that it can be easily navigated. And we defined a multi-level list. In lesson 2, we talked about section, page breaks, and how to generate table of contents. In section 3, how to cite references and generate bibliography or references. And in lesson 4, we discussed about how to deal with tables, equations, figures, and how to cite them or cross-reference them, which is very important. And in lesson 5, indexing, how to mark an entry, XE. And then lesson 5, how to reference a document or RD. So that is the end of this course. I hope you have learned something, and maybe I'll see you again in another crash course. So goodbye, and I hope to see you again.